What's up, everybody? Hi, I am Marcus D'Angelo, and I am joined by my slapdick brother, Dominic D'Angelo of WrestleZone.com. And you are joining us now for two.
How many, Marcus?
Damn it, Dominic. There's two of them.
Can you
Two.
yell just a little bit away from the mic, but give a good yell?
I'm not going to yell. My child is sleeping.
Two Dynamite Dudes. With the way two
Dynamite Dudes with attitude.
Wake
And
your child.
we are here to cover AEW Dynamite. And let me tell you, Dominic, it was one hell of an episode this week.
Yeah, that ending was something else, huh?
Yes, it was. Yes, it was. I guess we could probably start there. First of all, let me tell you, Dominic, that main event was a banger.
Yeah.
My goodness, that was. Shivani said that was one of the main events, the best main events that they've had since the start of Dynamite, and I'm compelled to agree. Like, the stars were out, dude. And like every one of those guys is a great worker, has a great look, has a great story, and they put on quite a show. What did you think?
I liked it. Yeah, I did like it a lot. I thought pretty much what you said is like just the having that amount of star power in the match, and the ability of like guys like Rey Fenix and PAC showing off their talents, and then already Moxley's such an established top star in AEW that he brings so much to a match just being there, I feel. And then on top of that, you obviously got Kenny and then the Good Brothers, so very good balance of things. Very good balance.
And dude, Kenny Omega's really coming into his own as an entertainer. Being a heel, being in this role that he's in. I mean, he is just on fire. Must watch TV every time he's on. So I'm loving Kenny. The Good Brothers, I mean, like, they remind me of like a couple like old school pros. Like they really know what they're doing.
Yeah.
Again, I say it once an episode. My wife, a novice pro wrestling watcher, she saw when Luke Gallows got in the ring, or Doc Gallows, or whatever they're calling him now. Sex Ferguson, I think some people call him.
Yeah, that's talking shop and all that.
Yeah. Stuff. So she saw when he got in the ring, and she was commenting on it. She was like, "That guy is massive." And I was like, yes, he is. Like, he's enormous. Like, he's an old school, like, he's a good brother. He's one of the boys for sure. Born and bred to be in the business, and like, it shows, man. He's great at selling. He's got great offense. Can't put him over enough. Can't put over PAC enough in that match. My goodness, what an entertainer that man is. A world champion, future world champion, 100%. And dude, Rey Fenix is a superstar.
Heck yeah, man. Like, just some of that, dude, when he dived outside and like crashed in that barricade, I was like, holy shit. Like,
unbelievable.
Crazy. And like, I mean, obviously, like, as fans and observers, we're just like, that guy could get hurt, like that kind of thing. But you want to think that they're like knowing what they're doing and everything like that, and kind of all that aspect. But like, putting that stuff aside, man, like, it's crazy. Like, it's such a good, I mean, it really showcases the amount of talent AEW has.
And dude, like, PAC, he hit this, like, that snap German suplex, like, where he
he bridged.
My God,
deadlifted nuts.
So he did a deadlift one too, but then he caught Kenny with like this one coming off the ropes backwards or something, and just like snapped him into this German suplex. It looked vicious.
Mm-hmm.
I even said out loud, "Oh my God!" Like, it was just like something else. Like, this match was like, it was candy for your eyes, man. It was, the entire match was great, and then the finish with KENTA coming out at the end. It's like, talk about the cherry on top, just unbelievable. Right. I think most people probably know who KENTA is, but if you don't, like, major superstar over in Japan. And this is kind of like the equivalent of like somebody from WWF back in the day doing a run-in on WCW TV, or like an ECW superstar just appearing on WWE or WCW back.
Yeah, I think that's more to that comparison. It's almost like Taz showing up in WWE, it feels like that.
Yes. While still under contract with ECW.
Yeah.
So it's just really cool. Obviously, furthering a storyline between himself and Jon Moxley for, I think it's the
the IWGP, the United States Championship.
Yes.
Which Jon Moxley had and Lance Archer had. Now, did you see what's happening next week? Mark
No,
it.
what is it? What is it?
I mean, I don't. I like. It's either Tony Khan listens to the show, or we're just on the very same wavelength because Jon Moxley is teaming with Lance Archer to face Kenny Omega, and oh my gosh, who's the other opponent he's facing? Why am I blanking on this? Help me out here. Who's he? I got to look at the AEW Twitter, but yeah. Well, talk about this for a second. Is just Lance Archer showing up at the end too, like adding that element to it.
It was awesome. It was awesome, you know, especially because it was just really unexpected. Obviously, that puts an end to his feud with Eddie Kingston. At least, you know, the way that I'm seeing it, that's the end of his feud with Eddie Kingston, which I'm fine with, because Lance Archer is a star. I think Eddie Kingston's a star, and somebody's got to do the job. It was Kingston in the end. But now let's move Kingston onto an angle where he comes out on top.
Yeah. Well, okay, so this was obvious. It was Kenta. Kenny's tagging with Kenta, and then Moxley and Archer for next week on AEW Dynamite. And the graphic shows Jon Moxley holding the United States title, like the IWGP United States title. Dude, New Japan's happening, and it's pretty fucking cool.
I mean, this is unprecedented time in pro wrestling. You know, you've got Impact coming over, and now you've got New Japan making appearances on AEW.
AAA, too, is in the mix, like, you know, with... You know, Kenny has the Mega Champion and Rey Fenix, obviously, and all that.
I wish Kenny would do the thing where he comes out like Ultimo Dragon, right? Like with multiple belts on. I think that would be really cool.
I'm sure we're gonna get that at some point.
We need it. We need it. And let me tell you, man, this is like the first time. And by the way, I'll touch on this again later on and as we talk. But this is the first time in a long time that I've felt like a fan of pro wrestling again. You know, like I'm still a fan. Like I love pro wrestling. But like this is the first time in a long time where I've just been like, I can't take my eyes away from the TV, where I'm like, I got to see what's going on next week. So yeah, this was a good episode of Dynamite overall. There were some flaws, which we'll get into, but really, really good stuff, Dominic.
Dude, I'm like, and there's with New Japan too. It's like, how much of the Bullet Club is going to be Bullet Club? Like, it could be, we could legit have Bullet Club in there, and
yeah, everything's on the table.
Everything's on the table. Like, you got like Tanahashi, the potential for Tanahashi in there, Okada. Geez, it's like the list can go on. Will Ospreay. It's just like Jeff Cobb can be back in the mix again too. It's like all those guys that are signed with New Japan, they're up for grabs. And same with Impact. And like you think about, you fathom some of the stuff that can go on is like Motor City Machine Guns in the mix, like just constant different things, like, you know, Eddie Edwards and Impact. Rich Swann, Chris Bay. It's just so much that you can pick and choose from and like interchange and everything like that. If they allow all that connection to happen, you know, there's
a world of options in front of us here.
Mm-hmm.
So I mean, really, really a fun time to be a wrestling fan. I don't know that it's getting like quite as much Twitter traction as it should. I think it got a lot, but still, it's like this is major stuff in pro wrestling.
Here's the thing too: is Kenta was formerly Hideo Itami in NXT, and you know, do you remember when he had that run at all? I know you were.
I do because I've got him on the one video game actually here. I believe is Hideo Itami.
Oh, okay. So like, and I remember him coming into NXT was like a big deal, and I was like, they're gonna make something out of him, and like it looked like that was gonna happen, but injuries got into the way, and then obviously once you get thrown up into the main roster and 205 Live, he became forgettable, and like they did not use him, and then he got his release, and so like some fans may be familiar, but with that, you know, a casual fan's probably not necessarily going to know who Kenta is, and like you know, but the ardent fan will. Like the ardent fan knows who Kenta is. Kenta's a big deal, but it's a matter of getting him across to the wider audience. And I mean, AEW Dynamite's a great platform for them to be able to do that. Now, New Japan has also, I believe, signed a streaming deal with Roku TV, so they're going to be on Roku. But I mean, you know, it's one thing to be on like Roku, and then it's another thing to be on TNT. So there's just a lot to kind of factor into it of how that's going to come into play. And it's like just one hand washes the other, so to speak. Hopefully, here we go.
Well, there's a reason that Kenta is considered one of the best in the world, and now he's got a large American platform to show it. So it's going to be I keep saying it, a really fun time to be a wrestling fan. Dominic, we touched on it a little bit ago, so we might as well just get into it. Kingston versus Archer. For me, this was just too much. It was a train crash. There were some really cool spots in there. There was some interesting stuff that was going on. But it was like the pro wrestling equivalent of eating junk food, for me, where it's just like you're just eating it because it's savory and it's there, but it's not fulfilling.
Yeah, it was like, yeah, there were some great spots, and like I obviously like both competitors a lot, and that match I was super pumped to see coming up. But yeah, I think a lot of it was just like pretty chaotic, and I don't think the commercial break really helped lend itself to it either, with the lumberjack match. And then I think having the lumberjacks in it like kind of took away from Archer and Eddie in a lot of ways, so it's like the focus went to the outside too much, I feel, and played too much of a factor in regards to like when you have a lumberjack match, the point is to keep the guys in the ring. And it drew the attention. It's almost like, okay, we want these two guys to face off and they can't escape. And obviously you'll have that outside factor, and obviously all this shit might happen outside, but it's like you want the focus to be on the two stars. It's almost like when you have a referee in a match and the referee's doing his job by not being noticed, like obviously you're going to notice the stars outside of the ring, but you want that. I think it's just, and that should play a factor into it, but I think it played too much of a factor into the match.
The lumberjacks, I know why Tony Khan did it. It's to get guys on TV. He's got this massive roster, and he's got some pretty huge names out there on the outside. Like Billy Gunn is out there.
Yeah.
His son Austin Gunn. I could go on and on, but there's like these guys out there that are well-known people, and he's trying to get them on TV, which I understand. But the thing is that when you always position somebody like Austin Gunn, for example, as an audience member, and barely put him on national television for any matches, like, to me, that's an issue. How easy and intriguing would it be to have Billy Gunn and Austin Gunn as a legitimate full-time featured tag team?
Yeah, I mean, they are tag. They're part of the tag division, but
sure,
like,
but we never get to see them. And like that's a tag team that if they had like a tournament for the number one contender or whatever for the tag team championship, I'd be like, I would like to see them against the Bucks. Like,
you want to see them in the mix. Like, you would want to see them in the mix. It's like
how interesting is it to have a father-son team?
It's like Griffey and Griffey Jr. like playing together. It's like Griffey and Griffey Jr. playing together.
Yeah, it's compelling and interesting, and it's right there. It's right at your fingertips. So I hope that he uses that. You could give Billy Gunn the retirement send-off that he deserves. He's
gonna get it. He will get it though. Billy will.
Well, give him the titles and have him put over a team and make that the end of his career, and then the two Gunn brothers can work together.
It's true. Man, yeah. I mean, you just think about it. AEW's really primed themselves for, a rock solid tag division. You think of all those teams in the mix, man, it's pretty wild. It's almost too much, like, at this moment where you gotta, like, it's tough to, like, that's the thing too, is it's tough to get a lot of those teams the focus that they properly need. I mean, look at this is perfect transition. Let's talk about the Battle Royal, if that's okay.
Sure.
Like there's so many of those teams that you want to see get a light shine on them. And, that's a lot to juggle. Like, a Battle Royal and having those teams in that certainly presents itself for that, but it also, like, it's fast and then teams get eliminated pretty quickly. Will say, I like how the tag Battle Royal is set up, like how both members of the team have to be eliminated to be out of the match. I think that adds a really cool element to it. I don't know ultimately how I felt about the match. I was kind of like, it didn't, like, I thought it told a good story, but it also was just like, I don't know. It's for some reason it didn't really stick too much with me either. I don't know how you feel about it.
My cat's making some weird noises over there. Yeah. So I think battle royals suck, generally speaking. I'm not into them. It's and this one was no exception. Not only like, is the viewer not able to focus on anything? But neither are the cameramen or the announcers.
Yeah.
So there's people who have set up spots because they're trying to get themselves over in these battle royals, and so they're setting up these incredibly interesting spots, and they're not even acknowledged.
Yeah.
So there's like fascinating
No
things
point.
going on.
Yeah.
Yeah, and not only the camera's like barely catching it, and the announcers are disregarding it. I think battle royals suck, and honestly, the only way to do it properly is in Pat Patterson's Royal Rumble format. That's it.
Yeah.
That's
Yeah.
the only way to do it and make it fascinating. So yeah, I think that that's a bit of an issue. But yeah, I mean, there's a lot of talent on AEW's roster, and it's a good problem to have. But it's the same problem that the WCW, as I always go back to, it's the same issue that WCW faced a lot. Like how great was Psychosis, but he was like a footnote in WCW's history. Chris Kanyon, awesome, incredible talent. But when you think WCW, do you think about Chris Kanyon?
No.
There was
Here
so
and
much.
I like kind of I do. Yeah, kind of, but not as much as
There's
I
a,
probably should be.
no, I mean, most people think Sting. They think the NWO. They think about Ric Flair. Chris Kanyon's certainly not going to be featured on the Best of WCW DVD cover. And there's these incredible talents that kind of like they're underutilized, and there's only so many ways that you can use them. So it's cool that there's so much talent, but it's having 30 people or whatever number of people in the ring all at the same time, it's not appealing. And it's not going to be appealing when they do the number one contendership. That was it. The number one contendership for the battle royal. It wasn't appealing. I never look forward to battle royals.
Now, as far as the outcome, did you like the outcome? Jericho and MJF winning? Does that make sense?
I will say that I was thrilled about the Young Bucks not winning, because you and I were pretty much like, well, they're gonna win. Like you and I
Well,
were
let
ready
me say
last week.
you were saying that, right?
Yeah, well, you were kind of agreeing though. Come on, you're not. Your hands are not
But
clean.
I played devil's advocate here too. I was like,
Your hands are not clean, dumb.
doesn't necessarily win there.
Try to weasel out of it. But so yeah, as far as Jericho and MJF being the winners, I think that that's fine. And it looks like it's furthering a storyline for the inner circle as well. So
Yeah,
yeah, I'm good with it.
I'm good with it too. Um, any team or anything? Well, how about Max Caster hanging in there for a good amount of time there?
It goes to show that again,
And he dumped out MJF too, right? He jumped out MJF.
again, Tony Khan is listening. We've been putting over Max Caster strong, and Tony Khan's like, I gotta have this son of a bitch last a long time. I mean, no, his talent is evident. His ceiling, his limitless ceiling is evident, I think, to most people. So Tony Khan's he's got a good head on his shoulders. I think he sees what he has in Max Caster. So why not get him over? Why not make him the superstar that he is bound to become? So this felt like a nice first step in that direction.
Yeah, no, I mean, honestly, like when Anthony Bowens comes out, I'm like, that dude's a legit star, like no doubt about it. And like, I tweeted that out immediately when I walked out, and I was kind of bummed that he didn't last very long in the battle royal, because I'm like, dude, he's got such a great look. I love his voice, and like, I feel like he should be a very viable talent. Like,
I'm not comparing him to Buff Bagwell by any means, but that's the sort of like basically pop and TV potential that he shows, where it's just like this guy just jumps off the screen because of the way that he looks and his exuberance. So yeah, you're right. I think that you could position him well, and get, have a star with him. But I mean, honestly, when I look at that tag team, I'm like, Max Caster steals the screen every time those two are on it.
I don't know, man. I think we're at a odds here, because I like Bowens a lot. I like Bowens a lot. I think he adds a lot.
Well, either way, Tony Khan's sitting on a nice little gold mine there.
Yeah, I mean, top flight too, man. It's like, just their presence in the ring is just, for their age and everything, it's super impressive. Super impressive.
They're like just raw athleticism those two have.
Yeah.
So yeah, I mean, anytime they're on the screen, you kind of know that something interesting is on the way. So they tend to not disappoint.
Mm-hmm. And then Jungle Boy, I thought they told a good story with him in there too, for like, fending off, he had to fend off 3 men for a while and stuff until he got eliminated. So, yeah, it was kind of like, I don't know how to describe it. Maybe like a little stilted felt the battle royal and like too much chaos. Like again, a little bit of too much chaos. So it's just I have a soft spot for battle royals because of Razor Ramon winning it and on Raw like way back when. So I always kind of like when a battle royal goes down, I'm like I kind of like battle royals, but they're a mess though too. So it's just like you got to tell the right story. And Marcus, here's another way you can do a good battle royal is have less people in it. Like if you did like a 7-person battle royal or like a 6-person battle royal, you could tell a hell of a story doing that. Like just
even a 10-person would be better. But when it comes down to it, man, I think that they need to find a way to steal the Royal Rumble format.
They kind of have in regard like the Casino Royale battle royals. Like they put them off in segments, so they do that. Mm-hmm.
Well, that's the only version of the battle royal or Royal Rumble that I want to see at this point. I don't need any more battle royals. It's as I said with the Lance Archer and Eddie Kingston match. It's junk food. It's substanceless. So it's why even bother? Something that I will say has a lot of substance. It was a segment that came up next. They showed Jade Cargill working out.
Yeah.
Something in like a vignette. She is an absolutely incredible human being.
Yeah, right. Jeez.
Unbelievable. I said it before, like she's Lex Luger. She's got this incredible look, like beautiful woman.
Yeah.
Beautiful woman, great body. But also like Lex Luger, Dominic, he was not good on the mic. And so the idea was to play keep away with him in the mic, make him more of like a figure, give him somebody to speak for him, give him a manager, and sky's the limit. So I think the same thing applies when it comes to Jade. I don't know that Shaq is going to be a manager for her. I don't know if that's a good choice.
I don't think he's gonna be. I think it's
no. Shaq's a short-term hot shot situation. Yeah. Mm-hmm. But give her a manager.
How about Vicky? Like we haven't seen Vicky too often.
Sure.
You know.
Sure. Give her Vicky. Give her the Sinister Minister who we saw later on. Hey. I don't care. Give her somebody who knows how to talk, and let her just be an absolute force. I mean, she looks like she's 7 feet tall. She's super jacked. Like she stands out in a crowd.
Oh yeah, no doubt about it, man. Yeah.
She passes Vince McMahon's, airport test.
100%, 110% for that. Yeah.
So I'm kind of going sequentially here, Dominic. So bear with me. But next up, we've got Sting and Darby Allin in the ring with Tony Schiavone, and of course, there's the classic interruption by Team Taz. The real star for me there, that was had to be Ricky Starks. He's got such a great promo, and he's really the perfect guy for Sting to be facing off against, because Ricky's like he can bounce, he can bump around, and that's exactly what Sting needs at this point. So he's good on the mic, he's got a great look, and he's perfect for bumping around. So it's like, man, what a perfect combo. A nice bumping heel for an older veteran babyface.
I know. And then on top of that, Ricky's got the mic skills, and it stand out of like, either Team Taz or Sting and Darby. He's the best on the mic out of anybody. And so you not only have that, but you have his that already rivalry between him and Darby. But then you also can have like you to play to Sting. I think just adds like to his star power too, Ricky's star power in building and growing him as a star, because he'll face off against Sting and he'll be a very good adversary for Sting. And then yeah, man. I mean, every week it's just like Team Taz together is just like it's such a cool moment every time. Like they work so well together, I feel. So
yeah. It does kind of feel like they keep, again, going back to the same.
Yes. Yeah.
They keep going back to the same well, but it's still entertaining by and large. So it's, I'm excited to see it happen.
And let me say too, it's not long either. So it's not overstaying its welcome, like week in and week out. It's just like, it's there. It's part of it. Now, we had a little variety last week with them being in the warehouse and stuff like that. So that was a little bit of variety. And the fact that they weren't allowed in the building this time around again. But, yeah, obviously you want to see something develop and things like that. But, like, you got to your point, like, from a couple weeks ago, you got to figure out ways to do it. and make it unique, especially for Sting, because you want to make that sure factor. But it's at least you're getting Sting. You know what I mean? Each week, you're still putting a focus on that, and not having fans forget it either. So
Thing is, and should be a featured talent, and thereby, when it comes to his storylines, you should be giving them some very serious thought and coming up with some unique situations to put him in. So I mean, like, I kind of look at it this way, like if you're watching the Batman TV series, the one from the '60s, and every week it's like Adam West is suspended above like a vat of acid. If that's happening every week, it becomes less compelling, right?
Yeah.
So let's put him in other interesting situations.
No, that's a good point.
So that's kind of how I look at that situation. Dominic, next up, I'm done going sequentially because I want to kind of save some of the best for last. But
Okay.
Hangman Page and Matt Hardy took on the Chaos Project. What are your thoughts?
I liked it. I thought it, like, from a story standpoint, I thought it was good, and it got it it gave a good dynamic and added another layer to the Hangman story. And I thought kind of progressed things along a little bit too. Ultimately I wasn't against it, and I felt like Chaos Project. I mean, they gave I like maybe a little, the match for them, it might have been a little bit long. Like maybe they looked a little bit too competitive, maybe. But I didn't think it was too bad either. So no, I ultimately thought it moved in the right direction.
Well, when it comes to Hangman, it's really hard for me to watch him still. Like they've really buried him. It feels like, for the most part, it's. I think I see where they're going, where they've got, Matt Hardy and Private Party kind of teaming up, and then it's like Matt Hardy's this untrustworthy guy, and probably what's going to happen is that the Dark Order members are going to kind of come out of the woodwork and say like, hey, you can't trust him, and then next thing Hangman Page is with the Dark Order against Matt Hardy and Private Party.
Yeah.
That's my guess.
Yeah.
But even so, Dominic, it's just like compared to the other members of the Elite, like Hangman has had shit storylines. He's been kind of like an afterthought when it comes to the program, and it's like, arguably the guy with the most potential is not realizing it in AEW. So it's week by week I get more frustrated watching Hangman Page.
Yeah, it's like, I mean, we do talk about it week in and week out, but it's, I feel he's such a star that, like, I don't want to say he's Teflon at this point, because he's not, but I feel like, you want to see him, you see him at that level, like you see that potential and stuff like that. So it's like, it's not like he's not completely destroyed or anything like that. It's not like a talent that you want to work on. I almost compare it, like, here's kind of a football comparison in a lot of ways, is like Carson Wentz, where you see like the talent and you see the abilities to do it, and like he started off hot, and like you see that viability, but then like whatever situations come into play, and Carson Wentz gets hurt, and team factors come in. Now the comparison is like, a lot of this is what Carson Wentz is going through now is a lot of Carson Wentz's own fault. Whereas Hangman is like, he's just part of the element of the wrestling business and like AEW and stuff, so he's kind of there. But like, I feel it's not like, you could see there's potential for Wentz to make a comeback, whether it's in Philadelphia or somewhere else. So it's like, if he goes to a different team, maybe he's rejuvenated, and you can see him go to that level where we've seen him at before.
And that's how you feel about Hangman.
So I feel about Hangman. I feel a lot more confident about Hangman though than I do Carson Wentz. So,
well, I mean, I don't share your optimism, Dom. I mean, they've been sitting on this guy for over a year now, with this like kind of bottomless storyline, where with regard to drinking and falling apart with his tag team. It feels like a year. Maybe it hasn't been, but
it hasn't been. I don't think it's been a year.
It hasn't, but it feels like it. So I don't know, man. I want to see more out of him. I think he deserves more.
He does.
As a talent.
Hey, we talked about our idea last week. I love it. I think it's maybe we'll see something.
Well, Tony's listening, so yes. Dom, the next segment I want to talk about. How about FTR and Tully kidnapping Marco Stunt? Kind of a nice, interesting new little layer there.
What are you gonna do with that? Where's that gonna go? Like, I mean, it is interesting. I just don't know. I just don't know where it's gonna go, and like how big the payoff's gonna be for that.
You know, FTR is pretty. You can't watch one of their matches and say that those guys aren't two of the best on the face of the planet. So I think that Tony Khan sees it and he's just like, I got to put them in some kind of situation. So it's Lucha Express. He's trying to up the ante. Ultimately, Dax and Cash go over in that scenario, and we're building toward another Bucks Dax and Cash encounter.
You
That's
think
my
so?
thought. Those are my thoughts, but
I see that kind of far away at this moment in time, though.
I think it's far away, but it's coming.
Oh, yeah. I mean, that's like saying like, yeah, we're never gonna see Darby face Ricky Starks again, like, or we're never gonna see Darby face Sammy Guevara again. Like, it's gonna happen.
I'm hoping so.
Yeah.
But yeah, so it's, you know, they're doing something with them, and that's good enough for me. By the way, the pairing of FTR and Tully is just chef's kiss,
isn't it?
Yeah.
Man, let's throw Serena in the mix too.
Yeah, well, Dominic, you know, you touched on women's wrestling, and now we're jumping into it. This is gonna be the last segment as far as I'm concerned, unless you've got anything else. I mean, we've got Shaq and Cody.
Oh, we got another segment we were missing here pretty good.
What do you got?
Well, the wedding.
Oh my God, man, I wanted to forget it. But I mean, we got Shaq and Cody, so
and we got Father James Mitchell.
Yeah, the Shaq and Cody's coming. But yeah, on to the wedding, Dominic. Thoughts?
Not very good. No. I really enjoy James Mitchell a lot. He's such a lecherous character. And like
comes off as like pervy.
Yes, which is great. Yeah. He's the sinister minister. What did he say? What was the vows he exchanged? What was the word he included?
It's something about groping.
Yes, to love and to having to grope. Yes.
Yes.
I was so happy to see him on there. I really was.
I thought it was cool too, and I did kind of like the misdirection with the present, where like Miro attacks the present, and you know it's empty because it was sort of like the red herring. Yeah. But yeah, and then of course he comes out of the cake. But you know, as you and I predicted, you know, of course Orange Cassidy's going to ruin the wedding. They've got to have the shot of you know, the bride crying at the end because her big day's been ruined. So I mean, they nailed like all the big basics, but I mean, a lot of the stuff in between, it felt felt like bad improv.
As much as they build it up for these months on end, it's just like that was it. Like that was kind of. Yeah, it really felt underwhelming, a little, but just like kind of undercooked in a way, you know, where
it felt like bad improv. It felt like they had an idea. They were like, okay, you're in this setting and this is your motivation, go. And it was just like, they don't know what they're doing.
I tell you what was good improv in it though, was Miro letting the crowd sing Night at the Roxbury to him.
I thought so too. Because, you know, that shows his veteran savvy is, you know, he's just, hey, look, they're trying to take over, so just let them,
you know. And it was good. Then like, yeah, it took me a second. I was like, wait, what are they singing? And then I was like, oh, Night at the Roxbury.
Yeah, because he kept saying, what is love?
Yeah, what is love?
You know, we say it pretty much every time Miro comes up. He's a star, without a doubt about it. Miro's the biggest star in there, and you can't even begin to question anymore. I mean,
here it is. Like now we're the point where we're past the wedding, which has been a huge part of Miro's arc so far in AEW. So now that we're past that, now we can get to the meat and potatoes of it, where he's like going up against Orange Cassidy, and maybe there's more of a focus on that instead of like the jokey comedic stuff. Obviously you're going to get an element of humor and stuff when it comes to Orange Cassidy, but it's like, you know, you can definitely, we've seen Orange Cassidy amp it up before. We've seen Miro amp it up. So you hone that in, have more of a focus on that instead of like those outside elements that fluff around it. And then so maybe we'll get the wheels turning more with that now too.
I'm hopeful.
Yeah.
I'm definitely hopeful. So yeah, I see limitless potential there. Let's hope that Tony Khan has the sense to capitalize.
Yes.
All right, so let's get to the my favorite part of the show, and that was Thunder Rosa taking on oh, for crying out loud, why is her name escaping?
Britt Baker.
Britt Baker. Why would that name escape me?
Hey, Kenta escaped me earlier, so
yeah. So yeah, dude, dude Rosa, as I've said numerous times, unquestionably the best worker in the world. But here's the thing: is that Britt Baker, you can make the argument that she's the most entertaining worker in the world, because like she has incredible expressions. She's got this like super like bratty vibe that is just on point as a heel. What are your thoughts on that matchup, Dom?
I liked it. Like, ultimately, I want to see them have like a straight up match where they have a straight up finish, instead of like somebody interferes or something gets screwed up or things like that, So I do want to see that. I'm sure we're going to get that at some point, but yeah, it's like they complement one another very well, like from not only the way they work, but yeah, from your point to like Britt being this like mean girl slash like conceited heelish comedy act in a way to Thunder Rosa's serious ass kicking kind of.
Well, and Britt came out with like a very serious vibe, like
Yeah.
no joking around. Like she came out looking serious, and I was like, oh, this is kind of a cool, interesting new flavor for her. By the way, Dominic, I did notice. So you're saying you want to see like a straight up matchup between the two. I did notice that they're on the same side of the women's number one contendership bracket.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, I mean, yeah, because there's the Japanese side, and then there's the American side.
Yeah, so I think that could be really cool and fun, because it pretty much inevitably Thunder Rosa is going to get some good traction there. Probably so is Britt. Maybe they'll meet again. And let me tell you, that's some compelling TV because, I mean, these two are putting on a damn show.
Yeah.
The sequence, Dominic, where Britt keeps trying to put on the lockjaw and then Rosa's fighting out of it and like rolling out.
The mat rolling and stuff.
Yes, the mat rolling and like the mat work. Like it lasted for a good bit of time and it was so entertaining. And again, Dominic, like this is what I touched on earlier. I'm trying to remember the time that I was this invested in a match, like as a fan, because I love Thunder Rosa. I wanted to see her go over. Yeah. And like so every time Britt would start to like try to put on that lockjaw, and I'd be like, get out of it, like come on.
Yeah, like, I know. I was too. I was like that too.
Yeah. So I was like getting pumped up about it. I mean, dude, 5-star match in my opinion.
Even with like the not straightforward finish.
I just gave it a Meltzer rating. It's the Marcus Meltzer rating, 10-star match.
Wow.
Yeah, this match was perfect in my opinion.
Wow. Okay.
Yeah.
And you were okay with the not straight up finish where it's like underhanded.
I think it's fine. I do think that Rosa should have gone over in the match, but it makes sense for that not to happen because she's not officially signed to an AEW contract, at least to my knowledge. I don't believe that she is.
I don't think they officially announced anything, but I mean, I would think she is at this point,
Like, I don't know. Yeah. I'll tell you this. So we need to see that matchup many, many more times. I want to see those two in a cage. I want to see them with a belt on the line. I want to see them in like an Iron Man match.
I was going to say Iron Man. Yeah.
An Iron Man match. Like this feud needs to last.
Yeah. The one thing one aspect maybe not to their point, but to the point of the referee where it made was it Aubrey afterwards? She was the referee of this match. Do you know?
Yes.
Okay. So like that turnbuckle gets untied. How do you not see that?
Was she? I don't know.
I don't know either. Whoever the official was, like, how do you not see that turnbuckle untied? And when you hit it, it's just like that was kind of hard for me to kind of buy in a lot of ways.
I don't know. I mean, how long has that shit been happening in wrestling, Dom?
Yeah. It kind of just stood out to me a little bit for some reason in this one. Maybe just because the match, like them going at it together, was so good and everything, and just notice it just seemed like a big thing that you wouldn't, and like how long we've been waiting for this match too. I think that kind of had a little bit to play with it too. The ending like stuck out to me in a certain way in that regard. But I mean, you know, there's like you said, there's that the tournament's coming up, and yeah, I think that should be good. How about, I don't want to get this woman's name wrong, the one Japanese wrestler that was like, "Hello, motherfuckers." She's like, did you see that tweet?
Oh, I did. Yes.
Yes. Oh my god, fucking fantastic. That's, I mean, you want to see like even Cody tweeted about it. He's like, yes, I would like he's like, she's got to win or something like that. He said.
Yep.
It's just like yeah, it's gonna be pretty cool. Like I think it's a pretty neat element that you have the Japanese side and then you have the American side going on. What do you see happening in that? What do you want to see the outcome come to?
I think on the American side, it should come down to Britt and Thunder Rosa, the rematch. And
See, this is what I'm thinking. Like, and I don't want to see them actually go at it in the finals. I want to see them go at it like in a match before that. Like they're fighting to get to the finals, because then that plays more for the story coming up later on.
well, how about Rosa and Serena Deeb then? You know, because
that would be rock solid, man.
Let's have another look at that. And honestly, in that matchup, it's like kind of doesn't matter who goes over. If Rosa goes over, cool, because I'd like to see her eventually go on and win the AEW Women's strap. But how cool would it be to see Serena Deeb with the NWA strap and the AEW strap?
It's true, yeah.
So it's, I mean, I love those two. Those like, there's something to be said for the turnaround that we've seen in women's wrestling in AEW. Because when it first started, it was hard to watch.
I mean, we talked about it week in and week out, and like, you know, what needed to be fixed and what the problems were and the flaws, and there was some flaws, and like even like to some extent, it's like there's certainly built it up, but there's been times where it's just like, okay, it's the one match, and you have to. There's this moment for that match where you want it to kind of just seamlessly go in one another. You know, does that make sense? You know what I'm saying in that regard?
Yes. It was almost like it felt like a secondary filler match. You know, there's your cursory token women's match on every card. But in this case, Dominic, like they stole the show. And
yeah, and put to that point too is like you show off what you're having coming up, the eliminator tournament stuff. I think that adds to the viability of your women's division as well. So
yep. I love what they're doing. They're kind of doing what WWE was pretending to do, which is putting these women in these positions and roles to take over. And as far as I'm concerned, Dominic, I mean, if I almost look at it as the best match in AEW thus far. It's up there.
Like the Britt and Thunder match?
Yes, one of the best matches I've seen in AEW to this point. Obviously, you and I were there live for the Blood Brothers match between Cody and Dustin. That one was unbelievable. I mean, there's
so many. Man, we'll have to try to do like a special episode at some point where we like kind of go through our favorite matches so far.
Sure, the dog collar match, that was great. So I mean, there's been some great ones. Dominic, this match.
Orange and PAC, man, you haven't seen Orange and PAC. That's one you gotta watch.
Yes, I do. I do need to see that. But this one, Dominic, I mean, it was something else.
Yeah, it was a good match. Like, yeah, ultimately, and like it'll come and play in the story later on. Yeah, like, so no, I thought it all. Yeah, I'm looking forward to seeing the tournament, especially. What I want to see is like kind of they go the old school route of like have them cut those like little brief promos, like almost like the Royal Rumble promos where they're like pitching their case to like, okay, this is why I'm going to win the tournament. This is what I have in mind. I'm coming after this. And
how about during their entrances, the old school,
something to that effect, or even just like once you kick off the tournament, who's ever fighting that night in those matches, you'd be like, okay, like you have a series of like, say you're doing two women's tournament matches a night or on each Dynamite or something like that. You have each quick one, four promos. You have 4 promos. Each quick do a promo one after the other, and boom, like that gets you ready for the matches, and then you see them later on. I don't know.
By the way, you know who gave a really nice old school promo on this program was Joey Janela. I usually don't like him as generally as a performer, but he gave like a really nice, concise, well done little promo about his match against Darby Allin next week. He got like his little tagline in where he said, you know, I'm going to be a very, very bad boy or whatever he says. I thought he gave a nice promo. I was kind of impressed. As you know, I'm not a big fan of his, but I was like, man, it was a good promo.
Yeah, it was all right. Like, no, it just didn't stand out to me too much, I would say.
To me, it stood out just because it was very old school. It was like that quick segment, like, you know, they flashed to him and giving his promo. He was concise. He didn't stumble over words. He wasn't searching for anything. He gave his promo. He gave his little tagline at the end. Got out. It was perfect.
Yeah, you know, there's certainly a good way to present Joey, I think, you know, and whether that's like from a super duper match perspective, like can be up for debate. But if you have him as a viable personality on your television show, I think that's doable. Like,
I think you could look at him and I mean, as long as he cuts the silly shit out, yeah, I can't get past him holding both arms and both legs.
Yeah, that's you're right. That you don't want that's you don't want to have.
If he can knock off the silly crap, I think he could be a good, almost like you remember how Bob Holly was used in the new generation, you know, where it was just like basically he was just like a job guy for the stars. I think that he would be fine in that role.
Yeah, and you know, I really think there's some sort of legs too with him and Sonny Kiss as a tag team. You know, as another tag team to have in the mix. Like, I think you can do something like that. But yeah, cut out the weird selling.
I think that they would be a good job tag team.
I think there's a super high ceiling still for Sonny Kiss, though. I really do think there is.
Sonny Kiss has got to get his shit correct. Again, as we've said, great athleticism, interesting gimmick, nice look, got everything going on. Just needs to put all the pieces together now. He needs a little bit more training, it seems. He needs to work on his fundamentals, and I think he's going to be okay.
Oh yeah, me too. I think there was something else though we are missing. I'm trying to think what it is though. Did we cover it all?
I think so, man. I think we got it all. I even shoehorned in some shit I didn't feel like talking about.
Dang it. Well, you didn't see this, but on Impact, it was quite the paid advertisement by Tony Khan and Tony Schiavone. It was very much amazing, I would say. Short of amazing. Did you see anything of it? I
saw an image of them wearing some interesting headwear and drinking out of like coconuts.
Yes. So like Tony Schiavone was wearing a shark hat, and then Tony Khan was like acting pretty buzzed and like kind of like riffing on Impact, and it was golden. Like just what he was just pretty much taking digs at, like, and he's like, I'm just feeling my emotions. He's like, no, I'm riding on my emotions, and he's like saying all this stuff, and he's like, I even have New Japan, like I'm advertising New Japan on it. It's like, and I said I wouldn't do that, like that kind of thing. He was going off on that, and then calling like the best 3 minutes of Impact Wrestling is this paid advertisement like that I'm doing and stuff.
I haven't seen it, and I still probably agree. No, I mean, you know how I feel about Impact. I think that they've got some really good stars. I think they have some nice opportunities over there. They've just got to kind of put the pieces together a little bit.
Well, your major figure bros are in that one, you know?
Oh, love those guys.
And they're feuding.
Yeah, which I find interesting, especially because, you know, if we're even attempting to keep kayfabe alive, brother, then you probably don't want to have those two feud as they do a podcast together once a week.
It's going to be contentious vibes going on.
I guess. I mean, there's always a little bit of contention between the two just because, you know, they tend to not agree. And Brian Myers takes Matt Cardona to task on his bullshit a lot.
Really? This is a podcast. I've never listened to their actual podcast.
It's a good listen, man. They're funny. It's when you listen to them enough, it's almost like hanging out with your buddies, you know, like you've got these two personalities and it's like two buddies who like kind of sort of don't agree all the time. So it's fun.
I don't know. Is this kind of weird to me? Like when I listen to podcasts and I see like, I feel like, oh man, like, you know, I could, you know, and like almost, you envision like, yeah, that there are a couple of your buddies are like, they remind you of like dudes you're hanging out with. And you're like, man, I would fucking like to riff on this and stuff. I get kind of jealous. Does that make sense to you?
A little. You know, I remember listening to Bill Burr's podcast.
Yeah.
Like I get pumped up for him whenever he gets work. But just like I would if he was like a buddy of mine.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah. And, you know, I see this is a podcast. I've never listened to their actual podcast. Yeah.
Yeah, which I find interesting, especially because, you know, if we're even attempting to keep kayfabe alive, brother, then you probably don't want to have those two feud as they do a podcast together once a week.
Yeah.
But at the same time, if you had a friend who was like uber successful and getting into film, you'd be like, man, I want to be doing that.
Yeah, right. Well, or like along for the ride, or a part of the element with it. You know what I mean?
Yeah, but no, I mean those two they're so much fun, Dominic. You've got to listen to their podcast.
I'll have to give it a tune in.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
All right, that's gonna do it then. Dominic, you and I are doing something pretty special after this. But why don't you get your shit in and then we'll talk about it.
Yeah. Well, who's your MVP, Mark?
Oh my God, that's right. MVP is Thunder Rosa. There's no question about it. It's a close second is probably Britt Baker though. Those two put on a hellacious match, and it's the sort of match that I'm not going to forget about for a long time.
Yeah, yeah. I'm gonna have to go with you. I mean, we really agree on MVPs a lot, but I mean, how can I argue against Thunder Rosa? I can't. Like, it was great and
She's
very good match. And,
yeah,
like
unbelievable talent.
It's crazy because like we haven't seen her wrestle on Dynamite for a while at this point. Like, and so getting the opportunity to see her again, it's like, man, like you see how high the ceiling is for her, and like, there's so much more that she's been able to do for the show and for wrestling. So
it's a treat every time she's on the TV. I get legitimately excited like I used to when I was a kid when my favorite would come out. I feel that way when I see her come out. So it's like, man, best in the world at what she does.
There was, and like, not only was there are we sure we covered all the matches? I almost feel like we're missing one.
I don't think so.
But like, because I was super pumped. Like, I don't think it like we talked about it earlier. Like, was the lumberjack match, but like having those two, Eddie Kingston versus Lance Archer, like go up against, like that's something I was excited for too. I mean, we got that live the week before though too. So I mean, that's one thing. I almost want to feel like that we missed something, but maybe.
I mean, it felt like an opportunity for Lance Archer to get his win back, brother.
Yeah, that's true.
Yeah, so that was the only real flaw I saw there. Also, just the nature of the match itself, it was a train wreck with some interesting spots.
Yeah,
specifically, Eddie Kingston gave a pretty sweet looking T-bone suplex.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah,
which was a cool moment. But yeah, it's, I'm about to give my Meltzer rating here. I'm giving this program an 8.2, and it's mostly because of the 10-star match between Thunder Rosa and Britt Baker. I can't put this match over enough, Dominic. Even if you watch this match, dear listener, go back and watch it again, because I mean those two, they told a great story. They worked really well. And like that sequence of her, I can't remember the last time I was that invested in a match when she kept trying to put on the lockjaw.
I know it was like nerve wracking. I'm like, don't tap or nothing like that. I don't want to.
Yeah. Yes.
Yeah.
It took me back to being 11 years old watching pro wrestling. It really did.
We didn't talk about this. Now you got to help me out on this. So during the lumberjack match, Jake got some offense in. What happened? Did he DDT somebody? Did he?
I think so. They kind of did some fancy work on it as far as how they filmed it. I think he just got like a good clothesline on somebody. I can't remember who it was.
I can't remember either.
It was Angelico.
Oh, that's right, Angelico.
So I think he just got a clothesline, but Jake sort of wiped out whenever he gave him the clothesline.
Okay.
Yeah.
I saw he was on the ground. I was like, did he give him a DDT?
Yeah, no, I don't think it was a DDT. Okay. I think it was like he gave him a clothesline, but he sort of stumbled over him then and fell down.
Oh, okay.
I don't know that Jake is capable of giving a DDT anymore, just because I don't think he's capable of taking a bump anymore, which essentially you have to do when you give a DDT.
Pretty much, yeah.
So yeah, it's he gave like a clothesline. It was cool to see him get some offense, because we haven't seen much of that, especially putting somebody on his ass, which was cool. A little bit of a bummer that he fell down. I felt bad for Jake, because this is a big moment on national TV, and you could see where like the cameraman recognized the situation and got away from it quickly.
Yeah.
But so I sort of felt bad for him there, but he did fine.
Yeah.
Look, I mean, he's an old man, and if an old man gets into a fight, he's probably going to fall down at some point.
That's a good point. Yeah. Mm-hmm. Tip of the cap to Jerry Lynn made a cameo too, as the man to walk Penelope Ford out to the ring.
Yeah, I thought that was an interesting touch. Also, you could see he gave like Kip Sabian the old like, "Hey, don't you hurt my
yeah, like
girl." Yeah,
don't you hurt my gal here.
Yeah.
Runner-up MVP for me, James Mitchell too.
Yeah, well, cool to see James Mitchell. He's creepy. So it's
Get him with Abaddon. Get him with Abaddon.
him, Abaddon, Mary Jane from Impact.
No, Rosemary Marcus.
Rosemary, whatever you call that. Mary Jane, Rosemary, whatever her name is. That creepy chick, get her in there. And have Luchasaurus start fucking ripping people's faces off or whatever. Let's have some fun.
Let's have a little bit of a good time here, huh? Who doesn't want a good face rip?
All right. Dominic, go ahead, get your shit in.
Okay. You can follow me on Twitter at Dominic D'Angelo. You can follow WrestleZone on Twitter at WrestleZone.com. You can follow 2 Dynamite Dudes on Twitter at 2 Dynamite Dudes. And then just be on lookout. Meet the Wrestler. I have 2 episodes coming up of that with Moonshine Mantell. That'll be dropping up soon. And same with John Schuyler as well. And then, geez, do I have another interview lined up too? I'm trying to think. No, but yeah, Marcus, we got something cooking here, don't we?
Yeah, right after this, Dominic, we are about to record the first ever episode of WCW Rewritten. So if you've ever wondered what could have or should have happened in WCW at the end of 1997, going into 98, the most profitable year in professional wrestling history, 1998. If you're ever wondering what could WCW have done differently, this is it. I'm going to show you. I know exactly what they should have done. If I truly believe that if they had followed the plan that I have, they would still be in business today.
Yeah.
So stay tuned because it's coming up. I don't know when it's going to be live. Do you know when it's happening?
Not sure of that deadline yet, but we'll
sometime in the coming week.
It'll be coming soon. Coming soon.
Yeah, got to be sometime in the coming week, apparently. So yeah, it's a good time, man. You know, as I've said numerous times, there was a ton of talent in WCW, and most of them were not properly used. So I'm going to do my best to do it justice. I'm going to take the pencil, as it were, and get to work as the new WCW booker. I've got some rules laid out, because, you know, obviously hindsight is a thing and I'm going to use it. So, hey, let's just have some fun with it. If you were an old school WCW fan, this is the podcast for you.
And episode 1 is going to be more like a preview episode almost, because you're laying out the groundwork for it.
Yeah, that's misleading, Dominic. So I'm giving the rules, but we're also doing Starrcade 1997.
Yeah, that's true. So starting off there.
Yes. So, all right, I see Dusty to running. So let's go ahead and sign off for 2 Dynamite Dudes and get into our next recording here, Dominic. You have anything else you'd like to say or plug?
Let's see. Trying to think of what other interviews we have. Oh, yeah, Bill Pritchard interview with Chris Jericho is up right now.
Le Champion.
I don't think we have plugged this last week, but it's still on the feed. You can check it out. Is his interview with Mike Rotunda, IRS. He did just happen to interview too the Bushwhackers, Marcus. Bushwhackers at our very first wrestling show live.
Yeah. Were those the first 2 professional wrestlers that you and I ever met? Might have been.
Well, Gilbert. Was it Gilbert first?
Gilbert was at that event. I don't know.
He was at that event. Now, when did we meet Goldberg? Was that after that?
Yes. No, it was before that. So never mind.
Goldberg.
I think Goldberg was the first wrestler you and I ever met.
How crazy is that?
While he was U.S. champion.
And it was like that weekend of Great American Bash where he fought Conan.
Yeah, man, what a wild time.
Wild times here.
But Bushwhackers are good guys. You know, cool that they're Hall of Famers. Cool that, you know, they're still taking interviews and bookings allegedly. So yeah, it's pretty neat.
Do you remember that moment too? But my favorite moment is like they're just talking to us, and then I think it was Luke. No, yeah, was it Butch or Luke that turned around and yelled at the kids to get out of the ring?
Probably Luke, I want to say.
Yeah.
Like, I mean, you always hear about the Bushwhackers and how they were like kind of the original extreme wrestlers back in the day when they were the sheep herders.
Yeah.
You hear some wild stories about those two, and it's like, man, a couple of innovators, WWE Hall of Famers, and there's a cool picture of you and I standing with them at ringside.
Do you have that?
I'm looking at it right now.
Well, fucking take a picture or send it. Like,
okay.
Yeah, Bill legit just interviewed them today, I think.
Okay, I'll send it.
Yeah, send it out because Bill shared the one in our Facebook chat. We're going off the rails a bit, but in our Facebook chat, he shared the one of me, you, and Gilbert. I was like, "Did you get that from Marcus?" He's like, "Yeah." So
yeah, I'll share the Bushwhackers one, which was the same day.
Same day, same event, all that stuff.
Yep.
And shout out to Bad Bubba Brewer too.
Bad Bubba Brewer, Pittsburgh's own Bad Bubba Brewer. Does he have his own podcast?
He does his own podcast. Yeah, I think
let's get him on this one, Dom.
We could try to do that. I'm sure he watched. Yeah, pretty sure he watches Dynamite and all that stuff.
Dude, we have to get him on here.
Yeah.
Right. He's an indie. Just so you guys know, he's an indie wrestler who happened to be at that same event in 1999 where Dominic and I met Gilbert and the Bushwhackers. He left an impression on Dominic and I. So I mean, we still know his name to this day. Dominic's been in contact with him. So let's get his ass on the podcast.
We could probably do that. Yeah.
Cool.
Man, how about that?
How about that, indeed?
All right, guys. Hey, you know what? We'll see you next week. Okay.
Hey, yeah, WCW Rewritten. Check it out, guys.
Check it out. It should be good stuff.
Thanks for listening, gang.